Hi guys, this is Grant Nelson again here with the Mustache Off Grid YouTube channel. I actually shaved off my mustache recently. It was getting kind of hot out here and I cut my hair and shaved my mustache and just cleaned myself up temporarily. So it'll grow back, it'll be back in the future. But also my basketball hoop's been broken since springtime and I'm going to fix it one of these days or get a new one. But I haven't had time to. I've been pretty busy, and that's part of the reason I haven't been putting out a bunch of videos. I've been working, and I'm not doing that now, so hopefully I'll have more videos to put out in the future here. And a couple of the videos I'm going to be putting out is one on the early springtime out here and the projects I was working on at that time, one on right now, summertime, and you'll see it green up and the difference in, you know, the seed that I planted and everything like that, which to me was amazing, seeing the contrast between springtime and summertime. And also I'm going to make a video on Arkansas Gate and a video on okra because I planted a bunch of okra. So I'll probably use the same intro in most of those videos just to make it a little easier so you guys will know which one you clicked on based on the title. You know, I'll just get into it and hope you guys enjoy the videos. Alright guys, talking about okra here. If you've never grown okra before, some people boil it. I like to fry it. And if you don't fry it too long and you keep it a little crunchy, that's the best way to me. If you boil it or fry it too long, it can become kind of mushy. But I'm just going to show you guys how it is. I will bite right into this like a carrot sometimes. It's very crunchy. You can probably hear it right there, the crunch and stuff. Inside of an okra has seeds. So they're very easy to save seed from, being they have seeds inside of them. Basically, if you just leave them on the okra plant till the end of harvest and let them dry out, you've got okra seed for the next year. So I just figured I'd show you guys that. Man, is it a wet day, ladies and gents. Figured I'd show you guys my water catchment tank right here. Comes right out of the gutter. But man, it's a wet day today. I figure I've been cutting my okra plants, you know, getting the pods off. I figured I'd show you guys a little bit more about the okra. That's what I'm going to make this video on. You can see I've got one piece of corn right there. Real ridiculous that only one grew. Well, one grew well. But this is what the leaves look like. The plant looks like. They have flowers. Got whole rows of them down out and around here. But I actually picked these rows earlier and then it started to rain, so I figured I'd go back here. Yeah, I cut a tree down right here and the branches are right here, but they didn't hit the plants. I angled it just right. I tried to cut it the other way really, but it just kind of fell the wrong way, and that'll happen. But here's one. I like to use pruners to cut them off. You can see down right here. This is some of what I picked earlier. I mean, this is crazy how much I'm getting. I mean, this is probably 3 to 4 pounds, and I'm getting that every two days out of these okra plants. That one don't have any. I mean, it has some, but they're small. And when they're small, I leave them on there. See, this is what we're looking at, the big boys. And just 3 days ago, this was about that big, which is kind of crazy. But that's just 3 days ago it was that big. I'll probably cut this one too. Dropped her, which happens, but I kind of walk these rows and get the ones that are good. You can see these weeds that come up, growing up here. They're called ragweed, but I try to snip them as I am walking through here daily, and that helps. But just figured you guys would like to see a little bit of harvest, you know. See, there's a small one. The weeds, sunlight couldn't get to this one right here because of the weeds, but it will grow okra later in the season. So I saw it in there when I was cleaning out these weeds to get in here and harvest okra. And I decided to, you know, cut around it, and anything that's okra I'm going to leave. I'm not going to kill a plant that I put seed out for, of course. So I just checked it and left it, and it'll grow okra eventually. It hasn't yet, but it will. Here's some more that were similar to that one. The back rows didn't do good. I didn't weed them quite as well, so that's one thing. I'm getting plenty, so actually, I mean, it really didn't hurt much, but it's one of those things that, you know, just keep in mind if you're growing them. If you don't weed the rows good, you're going to get a quarter of the harvest. Literally a quarter, I'd say, would be about the accurate. See, there's a small ones next to large ones. Sometimes they curve over like that. They got these yellow flower buds that fall off, and then when those pop off, usually an okra grows. Get out of here, Bailey. Come on. You're gonna ruin the plants. They're fairly resilient. I don't think he'll tear them up in here. They're fairly good. They're not super fragile. They kind of got a nice stalk to them, is what I'm saying. But they are a southern staple, and they grow great down here, and they taste great. They're very mild. You can bake them, you can fry them, you can boil them. I like to stuff them inside of a rabbit or a chicken or whatever I'm cooking up, and this variety that I grew, which I would recommend, last year I grew just Dollar General. I just bought some Dollar General packs of okra on a whim for $1, and they grew, and I said, oh, well, that's something that grew well, so I decided to plant more of it this year, and I bought some different seed. And this is called Heavy Hitter Okra, and it said that it can have 240 pods a plant, which is crazy. The ones I planted last year maybe had 3-5 pods a plant, so I was like, if that's the case, I'm gonna have an extreme harvest, and I'm planting 8 times as much. So I just planted one back row last year. That's all I did, right back there, and did well. So I said I'm gonna stick with what does well. You can see right here this yellow twine. This okra plant right here and the one next to it, I'm keeping for seed for next year. So I put those twines on it so I wouldn't lose track of where I was at. Bailey, come on. So that way I wouldn't lose track of the ones that were for seed. And that way I can leave them alone when I'm in there cutting out the pods like that. But okra, very resilient plant. It's drought tolerant. Even if I didn't get much rain, the okra would have still produced pods. They might have been half the size, which you saw, those are still pretty big, but they still would have produced pods as long as you water it at least once a week, I'd say. They say to give them about 1 inch of water once a week, or you could probably just every couple days when you go through and cut pods off, bring a watering can with you and water down the rows, which is what I would do. And then if you're doing that every couple days, you'll give about an inch of water anyway. So yeah, okra, it's drought tolerant, doesn't require much maintenance. You know, I just pick them every couple days. You put the seeds in the ground. The germination rate on most of the okra that I've grown is really high. Like if I put 10 seeds in the ground, more than likely all 10 of them are popping up. If I put 100 seeds in the ground, I'd say probably 95 are coming up. I mean, it's just very resilient, easy to grow. Couple days if the soil's warm enough, it's all going to pop up. And even if the soil's not warm enough, it might be weeks and it might pop up because it's just that resilient. And that's part of the reason I'm growing a lot of it, and I grow it because it works well. It's easy to grow, it's low maintenance. I don't have to watch it all the time and pamper it. It doesn't require a lot of fertilizer. It can grow in bad soil. It's just a very resilient thing to plant, and you could see the pods were pretty big on that heavy hitter okra I was growing. The method I used, I'm starting to use the back to Eden method more, and I put down a layer of straw and then a layer of rabbit manure last fall and continued that this spring, and I did not till the soil. So I have been doing a no-till method on it and just planting right into the compost that I put on top of the soil. So yeah, those are just a couple things about okra. Figured it'd be something to put out, you know, being it's past springtime and, you know, getting into the summertime. Okra's a warm weather crop. You could probably plant okra right now in my region and you would actually get quite a bit of okra by the end of the season. I think I planted that okra back at the beginning of May, and it is July 17th right now, and I've been getting okra for a week or two already. So if you planted it now, you'd definitely be getting some okra in the fall. That's another thing too. You can you can plant it at different times, so you can be harvesting okra basically all the way up into the fall time if you wanted. So that's something to consider with the okra. If you want fresh okra all the time, you can plant it at different times to get a harvest at different times. And keep in mind that heavy hitter okra can produce 240 pods a plant. All those plants that I'm getting okra off of right now, I have not gotten more than 3 or 4 so far. So I'm actually excited to see how much I end up getting off those plants. They've been giving me about 4 or 5 pounds of okra every couple days. Some of it I pickle, some of it I eat fresh, some of it I snack on throughout the day, honestly. And you give a little bit to the bunnies too. They really like okra. The sheep can eat okra. It can be a good extra feed source as well, you know, if you want to give the animals a treat. So yeah, okra, it's really a great thing to grow. It's real green. It's got vitamin K, vitamin A. It can be a great supplement off grid. I mean, you're not going to live on just okra alone, but if you have okra and some meat and, you know, maybe some potatoes and some other things like that, it can be a great supplement to a self-sufficient homestead and diet. It's a very good self-sufficient plant because, like I said earlier, it's drought tolerant. The seeds are easy to save. So you'll have new seed every year, and once you plant it the first time, you can get more every year. You know, you can put more in every year, and it's self-sustaining almost. And actually, someone told me, whether this is true or not, if you leave the okra plants in the ground, they'll produce next year okra as well in certain regions as a perennial. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what someone told me. I'm not going to try that because I'm just going to save the seeds and plant new okra each year, and I'm going to try to save the seed from the best plants, so that way I have the better genetics. Yeah, I've been working on seed saving. Okra, beets, potatoes, and squash are the things that I grow the best out here. And I structure what I grow based on calories, amount that you're going to be able to grow, and the ease of it, and just how sustainable it is. And potatoes, squash, okra, and beets have just been the best things. Beets I haven't saved seed from yet. They're kind of tough to save seed from, but that's one of my next projects that I'm going to work on, is learning how to save beet seed. But it's cheap enough right now that, and I've got enough saved that I'm not too worried about it, but I'd like to learn how to save the seeds from the beets because they grow really well and they're frost tolerant. They're early season. Yeah, that's just a couple things to know about okra. A little bit of history too on, you know, squash. And the Native Americans used to have the three sisters, and I think it was beans, squash, and corn, something like that. And if you can grow those three things, that's allegedly, you know, what they lived on. That with meat as well in the wild. Obviously, they harvested meat. They weren't just vegetarians. So those three things were what the Native Americans would grow. And I have found that squash is really... you can grow a lot of it in a small area, and it grows really well out here. So that's one thing I've been happy to do. And potatoes as well. You look at how the Irish, you know, how they lived on potatoes for so long, and you hear about the history of the potato famine. Potatoes and squash you could almost live on by themselves. Potatoes actually have all the nutrients. They're one of the few things that has the nutrients to live on by itself for a very long period of time. And you know, if you're producing your own eggs from your chickens like I am, with those kind of crops, you're producing food to live, you know. And obviously the thing about wanting a homestead that's self-sufficient, everyone wants to grow, you know, the fancy Italian vegetables and you know, certain things like tomatoes and peppers, and I grow some of those things as well. But I try to look at what I can grow a lot of, what's sustainable, what's easy to grow, what grows well in my region, as well as calories. You know, what can I produce the most calories and the most amount of food with? And okra, squash, beets, and potatoes have been the best for me. I've gotten a lot better with the tomatoes this year with the back to Eden method that I've been doing. But just keep that in mind, you know, as far as it goes. Grow what works for you, and start out with what works well. You know, last year was my first year gardening, and I had a lot of things I planted that didn't do so well and a lot of things that did well. And I stuck with the things that did well this year, and I've had a lot better crop. Lot better crop of okra. The squash is looking really good. The potatoes, I planted double the amount this year, and I got, you know, probably 80 pounds. I wanted to get 100, but I got 80. So I was happy with that. And I plant squash right on top of the raised beds. Planting a little bit into your garden can be helpful as well. If you can figure out a way to plan, this will be picked at this time, I'm going to put in this at that time. If you, especially in our region, you have a 6-month plus growing season. If you have a long growing season, that can be a very, that planning can help you produce a lot more off a smaller section of garden. But anyway, I'm just rambling a little bit about gardening. I figured someone might be interested in that. Appreciate you watching and hope you have a wonderful day. Sit. Come on, sit. Oh, good boy. Good boy. Lay down. All right, good boy. Hey guys, let's make Bailey famous. Like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Mustache Off Grid. Hope you all have a wonderful day, and God bless.